yourselves. So the lights just came on and I cannot see anyone, which is good and bad, but we'll just go with it. So thank you all for coming out this evening. This is a celebration of poetry. This is a celebration of Connecticut poets, and we have a great lineup for you. I don't know if y'all checked out the bios of everyone before, when you were RSVPing. Either way, they're gonna blow you away. So I'm gonna be your host this evening. And I'm also going to perform one small piece for you. Small because it's only one, but so we'll get right into it. I quit writing poetry again. I wadded up the last few sheets, half empty, like the bed I swore I wouldn't stain again with my need to be seen. Rim shot into the rubbish where most of my thoughts climbed out of to begin with. How did I get here? Convincing myself that some things just don't need to be heard, especially since the words got together over drinks and slurred into prolonged errors just to justify having made them. Knowing that nothing about their coming together warranted the efforts to save them, there was something about turning tablet pages into prescription pads for the meltdown that just ended, upping the dosage for the ones that would inevitably follow, that turned my heart hollow. When each word carved and emphasized emptiness into the potential of the bare lines, taking up space, but not filling any voids. How do I turn sentiments into sentences with nutritional value when my core values were man-made and laced with generically manufactured objectives? As far as exercises and futility goes, I CrossFit and entered the upper echelon of frivolousness a long time ago. I deleted the note in my phone that I risked tickets to take down as I drove the point home to unpack. By the time that I parked, it had become just another street sign that I had since forgotten the relevance of, and I wondered, if the distraction would have led to devastation, would my desire to digest later have turned into something of greater impact than the impact of the car crash it could have turned into? Would it have retained meaning if I cracked my words open on the pavement, nuance stripping from the implications that weren't impervious to the collision? Because anything short of two metaphors colliding at a crossroad, clinging to the context they once held, just doesn't conjure up enough of a lasting feeling. And aren't we all just figures of speech, beseeching that one life-defining thing to give us real meaning? I quit writing when I realized there was something about turning stages into AA meetings to channel support for the bad habits that kept my rhymes relevant that began to wear me out. I quit liquor too, but I got just as buzzed off the lust in the eyes of somebody's son a few seats away from the stage as he licked the salt from my stories and took body shots off my voice, his face looking like the punchline of my next poem. And recycling past moments at the cost of my next ones, spelled by words, does little to maintain the integrity of my mentality. And as it turns out, the art of storytelling has been more kindred to yelling bad memories into the universe like song choruses, sticking them on repeat like Ed Sheeran songs while feeling absurdly unacquainted with the cyclicality of reality when in actuality, it was me. Conducting everything from the low tones and the high notes to the dry bones in my prayer closet. It was knowing that each time I start a new line, I'd hone into the pointlessness of microphone confessionals that dubbed me a professional at professing all of my darkness to slates just as black as mine, that prompted me to push past poising my pen to fill wells with explanations for the tears they were drained of. But even in the droughts, I felt phantom stanzas pooling behind my lips, drooling on abandoned sheets of journals whenever nostalgia summoned me. Hi, my name is Kimolee, and I am addicted to the feeling of searing words into brain folds, branding thoughts with perspectives derivative of better influence, and watching realities mold to the sixth sense adjacent to the tenor of my intonation. Teeth marks imprinted on my tongue from truths untold, moonlighting as the 33mm celebratory chips that I relinquished when I relapsed. Spitting salves that heal and truths that cut, but perhaps I was meant to. Thank you. Next, next up, we have Tarishi Midnight Schuler, Grand Slam champion, teaching artist, globetrotter, host, Poetry Out Loud host. If you came last year to the open mic that we did at the Russell, you saw him in all of his hosting glory. I might let him take over for me tonight. We don't know. We'll see about it. But everybody put your hands together for Tarishi.
I am an eclectic type poet. Like I'm the type of poet that someone will call to say we need an anthem for a particular event, and I just know how to write the right poem for that event, or whatever the topic or the subject it is. So I'm just like the all-around type poet. But I like writing love poems. Nobody believes me. I remember when I was 17. During my beginning stages of writing poetry, when I was like considered like a quiet person, all my time was spent to myself just writing poetry. All the way up until I was 21, poetry was like my personal therapist. When you didn't have nobody to talk to, or everybody looked at you as the weirdo, the outcast. So I just stuck to myself and just wrote poems about everything I was going through. So poetry, the early years in life, that was the best time when I found poetry, and it helped me get through some of the toughest times in my early years. So I came down to my last poem I've written. It is the original title was called My Final Letter, but then I decided to go back and rewrite the title. And right now it's untitled because I don't know what title to give it. The reason why this will be my only poem that I'll ever perform is like a parable. So the poem was written with the idea that whoever hears this poem is so ambiguous, and just everybody's gonna have their own interpretation of the poem, and no one's gonna know what the poem really means except for me and 3 other people. And that's the beautiful of this poem, because it speaks to everyone.
Tell us a story that describes your relationship with poetry.
I have an awkward relationship with poetry. I love poetry. However, when I do things outside of the realm of poetry, people look at me like, you do that? Like, poets don't do that. Because one time someone said to me, I went skydiving, and I posted pictures on the internet, and someone commented, oh my gosh, I never thought a poet going skydiving. I'm like, what do you mean? We're regular people. So I do a lot of things outside what the stereotypical people think poets do. One time someone said, I thought poets just sit around and read books and burn incense and drink tea. I'm like, yes, but we do other things. We're not monolithic. So so I'm gonna go down my list real quick. First it was Saul Williams, and then cause I met him and I opened up for Saul Williams, but then I'm like, I don't have a really good connection with Saul Williams, and I don't know, so I'm gonna say Omari Hardwick. Only because a lot of people don't know him for doing poetry, and I had the opportunity of meeting him twice. The first time just running into him in the streets of New York, and the second time performing in Los Angeles, and we had a conversation about poetry. And I would love to do a poem with someone that people don't typically know for doing poetry, and he started off doing poetry. And if we could write a poem together, I think the title would be either Awakening Your Love.
Oh, wow, you're right. This is bright lights, and I can't see nobody, which is good. And I have my glasses on, so that makes me more blind. How y'all doing? Make some noise. How y'all doing? All right. So we're going to treat this like church. If you hear something from a poet and it moves you, you can make some noise. So you can say, let's practice. Say, ooh, ah, wow. Oh, my goodness. All right. Just be respectful in your exuberance. All right. So y'all can do that. So you want to snap? So yeah, do that, because we like that. All right. This first poem is titled Chapter 1, To the Cosmos and Back. When the days come, when the fountains of youth can no longer rejuvenate our bodies, I will still thirst for you. Even when your hair turns the color of Brillo pad. Age scrubs the smoothness in your hands, leave behind calluses and wrinkles, so I could tuck love notes in a small crease in your skin in the form of kisses. This is the harmony of matrimony, the bond before wedding rings. Our heart sings duet symphonies only simulate I waited. To feel this sound resonate through our being. This is better than seeing. I knew you were the one. I want to hold hands till we're old and gray. I knew you were the one. The first time I gazed my eyes upon you, like a hot sun blazing the surface of the African Serengeti, I was ready to die for you. Without role-playing Bonnie or Clyde, only memento to leave behind to remind people how grand our love was, our feelings, pictures, maybe children, and a tombstone. And while our bones are decaying in a coffin, buried under earthly fermented soil, I'll walk the afterlife with you, walk through purgatory, walk through heaven or hell. Nobody knows which direction we go except God. If we end up at different places, I'll find you. I will swim across the infinite universe of oceans, play hopscotch with Little and Big Dipper, follow Orion's belt to next constellation, search to meet galaxies, Samsung, round numbers to market their phone after, so I can feel your embrace, so I can see a smile in your face, so I tell you the most important thing ever written that was and still is, I love you. That alone is a poem in itself, a metaphor. It gets no deeper than this, and if this not meant for you, if we are not meant to be, I hope you find your groom. And he kisses you so deep it leaves love notes in your skin in the form of parables. And every time he looks at you, he prays to God, the given revelation written in your body language, understand the mysteries of the woman in you, learn from each other like Bibles or Qurans or any holy book, so we can fold into each other's arms, worship each other like revival, until this revival feels like survival, because this love, the only thing that brings us back from the dead, when we go out with a bang, like a star, seeing its final days, exploding to a supernova, sending a love across the cosmos. If we're lucky enough, we'll turn into a black hole, pulling everything around us back in beautiful, beautiful blackness, back in beautiful something. No such thing as nothing, only things your mind cannot fathom, back in the center of the black hole, a tranquility, a singularity on the other side of the black hole, before time began, before the Big Bang. This is our Genesis. This is only page 1. The first time I met you, you opened your mouth and it sounded like you were saying prayers. I swear, I hear God say, in the beginning, the worlds are formed in darkness and the waters moved across the deep of your skin. I need you to go forth into the world and teach my children what it means to love again. Y'all still here? Y'all enjoying yourselves? All right, so I can't see y'all, but I'm going to pretend I can see y'all. How many of you have a name that someone keeps messing up every time they pronounce it? I see it. Yep. This is for you. The struggle is real. My mom wanted to name me Kuta Kinte. True story. However, my aunt immediately stepped in. She fiercely tried to make me their Toby. My aunt named me Tarishi, which is Swahili for messenger. I guess my family wanted to give me a name that remind me where we came from. We live in the generation that gentrification has some people bleaching their skin, so they forget next to kin were Africans. Yet some Africans bleaching their skin, so they forget the names came and baked under the sun. My name comes from a place that believes in a proverb. It takes a village to raise a child. I believe it takes a planet to shape an identity. I won't apologize. You don't understand my euphemism. Your world is too small for me. I think outside your bubble or your box, wherever senses try to make me fit in, doesn't make sense. Since race is not the more systematic way as distant you are in the first place, human. I was born on the east coast of America, the name that came from the east coast of Africa. My journey was forever, learning that my name is not safe, learning that my name was born out of struggle, learning that my name can be translated to, boy, looking to lost yourself, learning that my name is not safe. Started in the 8th grade when a classmate called me Hershey. He found it difficult to pronounce Tarishi. I told you, I hate cubicle shapes. I should not allow someone to easily marginalize my life to fit inside boxes of chocolates. If we could allow our English teachers to colonize our tongue so we can speak Stanislavski, Leonardo da Vinci, Sikorsky, learn to say Tarishi. It's easy. It's only 7 freaking letters. T-A-R-I-S-H-I. It's really an acronym for transatlantic refugee, individually seeking human independence. I should not allow someone to try to change my name into a dessert, since my ancestors are the main course for the sharks, the middle passage. The question was asking me, why would I call myself Midnight? If Hollywood ever made a movie about me, no matter how much I try to erase my history, you'll always taste the melanin in my pseudonym. You'll learn that your name is not safe. Once you discover the translation, you are accountable responsibility. It carries my name, means messenger. I am to deliver more than just these poems. There's moral compass attached to it. I am more character than 26 letters of the alphabet. My aunt prophesies me into a martyr. Noah admires the bearer of bad news, especially when it's the truth. My mouth is a bullseye waiting for someone to silence me. How many God's messenger you crucify realize I'm here to bring the word, not the author of it. If I be both, does it make me bipolar and ambidextrous? A black man that refuses to be silent is dangerous. A black man that chooses to be silent is still dangerous. My mom wanted to give me a name that I mind me our roots. My aunt wanted to give me a name that I mind my oppressors. Even you colonize our language, you can never colonize our purpose. Am I good on time? Whew. Y'all enjoying yourselves? Ooh. Is that, who said, wait, hold on. Who said the over there first? You understood the assignment. Thank you. All right. So this is last poem. I'm gonna see if I can get through this one because this is still making tweaks to it. All right. It's titled. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. This is the poem. What is your truth? What evidence or proof do you have to validate your opinion, your truth? Outside of your 5 senses, our world senses, how do you convince someone that we share the same experiences in this reality when we fail to see the fallacy and not accepting the one commonality? I am not a mathematician, but I do know that 1 plus infinity times 0 will still equals 1. Religion, race, and politics will always cause division still. It won't stop this head-on collision that brought us here in the first place. But what is here? A junction, a meeting point, a particular location. I'm just here to tell you at this point in time right here is now. Here and this moment. Forever baptized in the present. When the clock strikes midnight, it is gone in the next second, but now is infinite. If you don't understand how and you're wondering why, you don't understand the power of now, I've already paid my toll. When I died, before my time to die, I took my last breath on the bathroom floor and realized that there is no death. All that is left is now. When I'm gone, you will still feel my energy. And that is real. No monetary value can buy this. I've tapped into the frequency of love, whether it be om, or hum, or him, or a hug. I do this out of love. That is your truth, your evidence of proof, your validation. We can have enjoyable debates or endless philosophical conversations while you discuss all the premonitions of the past and I mention all the memories of the future. It's all the same. Too often the lines get blurred. And how can you tell the difference between the dream and the real world? And what is a dream anyway? And what is reality? And who is to say that this is not the dream and the dream is the reality and it's all the same? Realize you have to wake up from both of them. And that's why we're here. Not just only to pitch the perfect poem or rhyme, to understand that this is our time. We are masters of our own universe. Universe translate into Latin, unisum, meaning whole, collective, literally combined into one. So ergo, like the Beatles, come together right now. But this is bigger than me. My campaign is unity. My religion is love. And that's why we do this. That is your truth, your evidence of proof, your validation, that sensation you feel when you recite your song or your rhyme or your poem out of love. You know you have found home. Heaven is only one verse away. And who's to say you're not found it anyway? After the stars have fallen and married to the ground, and you are surrounded by your own sound and abound by your light, and you're ready to take flight. And even after I have walked away from the stage, you'll always still feel your energy, even when you leave the mic.
I think that was the last of the tall people, so I think we should y'all too, yeah. We'll readjust one. Okay. One more time for Tarishi. Next to the stage, I think most of you in here should understand what I'm saying, what I'm gonna say. Jada, Billy, it's okay. CD ROMs. This next performer, I was introduced to her through her CD. So before we had streaming, before like when we LimeWired our music, I was introduced to her through her CD, like backpack poet, peddling CDs, real old school, real just I've been, but this is a testament. This is a testament to just the experience that we received because y'all, what did Jay-Z say? I've been doing this since Chips was out. So we appreciate in advance all of the heat, all of the experience, all of the time tested just dopeness that you're bringing to the stage. Tracy Mind Evolution Caldwell.
I'm sorry, I hate doing this. So myself as a poet, I would say I'm strong in my thoughts. I'm definitely a woman's poet. Like, I definitely cater to the empowerment of women. Not that I'm out here bashing men, but I'm a woman's woman poet.
Tell us about one moment when you felt like poetry saved your life or some element of your life.
Oh, definitely when I was 22. I had just ended the relationship with my children's father. It was mentally abusive. And I needed something to make sure that I could like have a piece of myself. Like I felt lost. And so I started attending open mic every Thursday religiously. And that is where I developed as a poet, as a woman. I would say I gained some insight. You know how when you're growing up and you're really like closed-minded because you just haven't experienced life. I got to experience life there. So open mic, The Junction, it was probably 2001, maybe 2000. But yeah, poetry saved my life at open mic for sure. For sure. Black Girl Magic is the one poem I would perform forever. I feel like it embodies so much of who I am as a woman, how I feel about black women, and how like just phenomenal we are. So Black Girl Magic. If I could collaborate with one poet in the world, it would probably be Jessica Caramore. Reason being is she is the first poet I ever saw do poetry and like captivate a room. I mean, and if you don't know who she is, she did the Black Statue of Liberty on the Apollo and won for weeks in a row. And I'm talking about Apollo in New York where they boo you. I've been to the Apollo in New York and they booed me off the stage. She won 5 weeks in a row, maybe even more. And like now she's like this rock ambassador. She's dope. She's dope. I follow her on Facebook. But our poem would probably be called Two Dope Chicks in a Poetry Room. I like the story that you I was like, why is she telling these people how old I am? I don't know y'all like that. Oh my God. Thank God these lights are bright. Question, are my glasses glaring? No? Okay, are my bang-yangs banging? All right. So I'm not gonna move the thing on you because y'all can hear me, right? Plus I'm gonna be loud. So hi. All right, let me introduce myself since she told y'all I'm old and stuff. Let me introduce myself. Mind evolution, the element that reasons, the totality of conscious and unconscious mental process and activities, intellectual power or ability, a state of awareness or remembrance, a gradual process in which something changes into a different and usually better form. Like a quiet storm that builds, I sneak up behind you with words that heal. If words could kill, I'd be a mass murderer. They'll be saying things like, yo, you never heard of her? She'll take your head off and shove spoken word down your throat. Quickly put you back together before you croak, no joke. The sister wrote a rhyme that brought back a lifeline on a dead guy stuck in a bind between a rock and a hard place, selling rock on the paper chase. Got the feds on his case because he liked money at a fast pace, running so hard but still losing the race. Didn't have a father to embrace, so he smokes and drinks to try and erase displaced emotions of abandonment. Then he heard this poem and noted my lyrical content was created for empowerment with a dash of entertainment. This is why I can't contain this. My mind is in a constant state of involvement. I'm involved with everything while at this mic standing still. Because I took the time to read, didn't need to swallow a red or blue pill. I am a prophecy. Because when I was 12 years old, this moment is what the prophets would see. 12 years from now, they'll be talking about me in the past and future tense. Because I'm an ancestor and your next descendant. A relative that's always relevant, and you can't relate unless you've been through it. I don't talk about it, I just do it. Some said I couldn't, but I stand here in proof of it. Like Mira said, I am not just a poet. I'm a woman, full-figured and fully aware. My hair signifies strength, just like my words. I heard I'm ugly by the world's beauty code, but a knockout by my own. Well-loved and well-grown, I'm a cutie that's juicy with thick thighs. I make rivers run dry, wipe tears of friends who cry, only deal with truth so I never lie. I spit rhymes. I'm an actress that can rock movie lines and red carpets with no panty lines. I'm building legacies so mind evolution never dies. Teach my children to do better so we always rise. Make you believe I heal boo-boos with one kiss. Hold a spot on your top 5 list. Carry worlds on my shoulders so I'm blessed with hips. I'm a teacher, a chef, and a maid that made standards rise. I set bars high while I get you high off information. My creation was not an accident. I was meant to stimulate minds and still breath. To recover from my loving takes 12 steps. I stay 12 steps ahead because life is like chess and this queen is looking for a mate to check. I'm not afraid to rock the angry black woman banner across my chest because I was sent here to express where my sisters are coming from. We are diamonds and butterflies, but that image we have run from. And I stand here singing now for my brothers who've been unsung. Abdul, Daryl, Jason, Danny, Troy, Melaquan, Antoine, Dana, and Donnie, and for all the men standing far and near beside me who handle responsibilities and understand child support is all things and much more than monetary. I say things clearly so y'all can hear me. Life is merely decisions made during a survival test. And with that conclusion, I've just introduced you to mind evolution. Thank you. Yes. I've been doing this for some time. Yes. And thank you for comparing me to Jay-Z. Awesome. This is being taped so my children will see this. Yes. Jay-Z, y'all, Jay-Z. Okay. So like Jay-Z, I got fans. That's why I brought my fan. That was a corny joke. I think I'm funny, whatever. All right, so it's gonna get heavy, so I have to keep the banter light, I'm about to hit y'all in the head, so just ride with me, but it's all love, The job of a poet is always to deliver a message, as my brother said, and it's always to tell the truth. I just do it very in your face-ish. Okay. Black girl magic is how everyone hears my mother's accent except me. I know what she had to sacrifice to be called American. It's the ability to rep an entire race being the only brown spot in a bowl of milk. I am part of the beginning. Black women gave birth to the world and breastfed America. More than the sum total of our cornrows, overeducated, overqualified, always underestimated. Overlooked and mocked, simultaneously imitated by the critics like when 6th grade white girls didn't speak because I was different, but grabbed my arm to measure their summer tans against my melanin. Does not know my native language, but mastered the ability to code switch with articulate speech and elevated pitch. Said to be gravity-defying curls dripping in homemade hair grease. Can show up as a teeny-weeny afro, be 8 inches in burgundy tomorrow. Tastes like gumbo made in flooded Louisiana kitchens. As good as Patty Pie's 2015 Christmas. Clears throats that swallow pride for paychecks, only earning 58% of the American dollar is calmness amid racist comments in the office. The mixture of Borican and Taino Indian, bonchinche and candles burning in botanicas, soul full of the likeness of God, it had to manifest through big lip kisses. Tough love whose timeout was sending me outside to get my own switch. Everything and nothing all at the same time, been told to sit in the back, shut up and take it, made to apologize for being a victim, accused of being promiscuous because of our curves. Women secretly envy us. Men openly rape us. Black women. It's okay to be angry and broken at the same time. We are not pillars of strength. It's a higher threshold for pain. Our magic makes this struggle look attractive, being told what we should become while everyone else is racking up bucks impersonating and selling black girl magic. Imitation is not flattery when no credit is given to the original. God was trying to tell us something when Whoopi curled her fingers and said, until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna fail. Black women know your worth. We were stolen because the sun reflecting off melanated skin shines like gold. We are still of the highest value. So I know you're like, what is on her finger, right? So I'm gonna tell you something. You should always follow your gut. I had this gut feeling that I shouldn't cook. I did, trying to be a good mom and stuff. I should have just went and got some Burger King and sliced my finger 4 stitches later. Here I am. And I said that because, yes, give me the love. Give me the love. It hurts, but these stitches come off tomorrow. All right. So, she told you how old I am. You got to know why I got this thing on my finger. So this next poem. I was having a time with this next poem. It's a great poem, and I was struggling. So if I struggle, y'all just show me some of them oohs and ahs and a little bit of love. You know, I'm gonna give y'all some Black church, okay? Black church is take your time, girl. Come on, say that with me. It's okay, girl. What's that? You got it, girl. Yeah, okay, that's Black church. All right. I'm gonna need that. Told I was falling for media tricks after I made an angry post about the murder of, insert name of Black individual unjustly killed by a frightened police officer here. White people experience police brutality. It's just not publicized, she said. Knows me to be a loving, caring individual, but isn't so sure because I said more people should be outraged when the police murder Black citizens. Made her uncomfortable, she said. I should change my stance because she's uncomfortable. No laws have been changed because I'm frightened. We watch these public executions over and 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 over. And these overs seem ridiculous, right? And over and over and over and over and over we are angry. And over we are frustrated. And over we cry. And over we protest until we are silenced again. Every single time. The media sure has tricked us with fairy tale lies about suits and ties making Black men invisible to police rage, while sagging jeans make them target practice. Bad cops don't see clothes. They just see Black skin as guilty and worthy of execution. Racial profiling is not an urban legend. Colonial invaders believed no country could govern itself unless there were a high degree of white people in charge. My ancestors were shipped to America to learn to be appropriate. Their descendants have been buried alive like coal miners under years of oppression. We are not the violent ones. We suffer from PTSD, purposeful, traumatic, systemic destruction. Told to keep up with the American dream, got chained to the starting block at the beginning of the rat race, broke free and get shot anytime we start catching up at the finish line. Land of the free. Built by the slaves no one ever wanted to be equal to. Forced to pledge allegiance to a star-spangled noose, Jim Crow never died. It just evolved into a 3-year sentence on Rikers Island, followed by suicide for a stolen book bag. grew into the monster on the other side of the front door, making brown parents everywhere afraid to release their children into the world, destroying promise and hope, believes I'm seeking revenge when I point out her white privilege, sees me as the wicked witch of reverse racism, but she's always been free enough to tell me my anger makes her uncomfortable. Black people will continue to rise like the embers of our ancestors that rose from the fires that burned down Tulsa, Oklahoma. But if they won't stop shooting us, at least, at the very tiny little bit, show one good cop arresting a bad cop so I can play that over and over and over.
So that first piece she did, like, she just confirmed my intro, right? She's timeless. That's that's what that was. One more time for Tracy, Mind Evolution Caldwell. Coming up next, she doesn't know this, but in my mind, she's my mom. In my mind, she's in my mind. She's my mom. She's my mom. She's my mom. Whatever. She is the mentor for our Poetry Ourselves students, teaching, she was the reason why I got back into writing, because I sat in on those virtual sessions and I'm like, I miss this. So coming up to the stage next is Lynette Johnson. Round of applause.
Okay. What kind of poet am I? I'm a love poet. So I describe myself as a love poet. And so when people think love, they think romance. But I just think I talk about what I love. I talk about God. I talk about relationships. I talk about justice. And those are all things that I care about. And so I think the most authentic poetry comes from a place of personal connection. It's really hard for me to write something meaningful about something that doesn't really matter to me. So I'm a love poet. I won't even say while I was pregnant, but after I had my child, I had so many emotions, and there was just such focus on the work of just keeping this baby healthy and alive, and writing kind of kept me attached to myself. You can really lose yourself in the task of parenting and in this new role, this new title in life. And writing helped me stay connected to myself. I really think it helped me. I'm someone who, like so many of us, struggles with depression, and I think it helped me to not fall into postpartum depression. And so I don't know that I was aware of that or if it was a conscious decision, but writing those couple of years after my son was here, I think helped me remember who I was before him, with him, and also helped me list out all the places I could draw love and support from. Because sometimes in moments I was feeling lonely and overwhelmed, and also just writing about who is there, who is showing up, helped me just stay centered and well. Yeah, that. One poem for the rest of my life. So the first one that came to mind was Till You Do Right. And I do that a lot. And it's just a poem about someone experiencing challenges in life and me letting them know that's because you mistreated me. And so I think it's something that is timeless and could work. Sometimes the poems I write, I've written poems 15 years ago that were hot at the time that I read it back to me and I'm like, I don't even feel connected to it. But I think that's one of those poems that it's a story that an audience can relate to. Everyone has experienced feeling like they were being mistreated and trying to manage interacting with maybe the person who mistreated them in the future, and just feeling like there's some karma, there's God, there's ancestor, there's someone looking out for them in a way that injustice does not go unpunished. So I think I call it my petty poem, but I think that will last. I think it will last over time. Story about poetry. So I'll tell you like my introduction to poetry. So it as a child, so I kind of grew up with, I want to call it like good girl syndrome, like really like being good is just instilled in me as a high value. So in school, I was a so-so student. I would either do awesome or poorly. Like there was no in between. Like I'm really excelling or I'm struggling. And so a lot of that had to do with my relationships to my teachers. And I had a teacher that we used to journal, and this teacher gave me such positive feedback about my writing. It made me want to write more, but mostly I just wanted that feedback more. Like, oh, tell me, say it again. I like it. And so what that led into, and she would send my writing into, I remember she sent it into like some whatever little kid contest was happening. And it just made me realize, and then it just became broader. And I remember being invited to share a poem in front of the school. And my relationship with poetry became a way to communicate to a broader audience. I learned that people listened to what I had to say. I think at times when I was little, I felt kind of invisible. And so poetry helped me to feel seen. Like, I don't know that I was invisible, but I felt overlooked. I felt invisible. And I think poetry helped me to connect. I'm less awkward. As a child, I felt awkward. So I felt more confident in poetry. So I think the story there is the people pleasing, which whatever you want to call it, it felt useful because it helped me learn, it helped me identify a strength and develop a skill. So some people call it a talent, but I think the gift of it was the encouragement in it. And I think with practice and reading and bouncing things off, it just became a skill. So I'm good at it because I got good at it by doing it all the time. So I think poetry brought me to confidence and to connection. And I have never done a poem where at least one person didn't express that poem was for me. And so, is that a story? I just told you. Yeah, okay. Because she's a freaking beast. And she has this voice where, what I appreciate, my favorite poets make poetry accessible. So it still has depth, but you don't have to go take a history class to come back to understand what she was talking about. And I think she writes very eloquently about struggle and blackness and being a woman and wanting to be loved. And I'm a big fan. And I would say the title of and people who may not be familiar, if you're familiar with Beyonce, she, Worcestershire was a writer on Lemonade. And so if you liked that, on the album, so if you like that, then you're a fan too. The poem, I have a poem idea called Breakthrough Pain. And I think I was watching a show, Dope Sick. Are you familiar? I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. It's on Hulu, but it's about the opioid, how the opioid epidemic started to become a thing. And they keep talking about breakthrough pain. And I was just thinking about this idea of even when you're doing everything to be okay, how sometimes something will come to the surface all of a sudden that hurts and kind of out of nowhere. And so I feel like she and I could do that. She don't know me yet. But let's put this out to the atmosphere. That would be it. Breakthrough Pain. Worcestershire. Lynette Johnson. On Oprah. somebody try to make you cry before you got to get on stage and be serious? I love you too. It's my pleasure. That threw me off, and it's an honor. Daughter. I'm still young and tender, though. Don't do that Jay-Z joke on me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm gonna do a poem. This poem I dedicate to poets. So for people who write and get on the mic, and people who are thinking about writing. I think everybody got at least one poem in them. So, a poet, you may have noticed, is a wild word wizard when focused. Cooking up grammatical hocus pocus, she's discovered that creating a page of intricate prose is one of the most phenomenal ways to get lifted. Forcing paradigms to be shifted, I sit back, ignite my pen, spark up my journal, and smoke out the atmosphere. The heated glare from my wordplay is like mini explosions in the air, a firestorm of prolific thought. It's too late to run, you've been caught, I'll hem you up with liquid language. Saliva-laden curse words that sound sweet, and sweet words so sharp they slice, neat when they penetrate. Traveling down your spine, tickling your feet, I can hardly wait. Old ways of thinking I'll infiltrate. My intellectual approximations resonate and reverberate. Overwhelmed by the intensity of my verbiage, the brazenness of my utterance may leave you shook a bit. On the way home, when preconceived notions are crumbling, I want you to say, yo, I never thought about it quite like this. That Lauryn Hill looking chick is deep, I spit. And I ain't scared of crickets. I ain't scared of how silently thick the air gets when the crowd can't get with it. I ain't scared to travel so far into the earth's court it can't nobody dig it. I like to believe that the proverbial hush is due to the muted volume of the enthralled, hanging on to every word, or the aghast countenance of the appalled when the oral onslaught hits a nerve, because even if you're feeling offended, at least you're feeling me. And a small part of me still a geek that wants the cool kids to like me. Like, what if my lines ain't quite right? And what if my rhymes ain't so tight? And as a matter of fact, what if all of it's whack? Well, high school was a long time ago. And these days, I really don't care, because honestly, poetry is my therapy. Behind this mic, my heart and soul I bear. So if all you got for me is an expressionless blank stare, I can't see it anyway. I can handle that. I'm from the suburbs. We used to crickets out there. It's crickets. It's nice in here. I like it. I like it. This is nice. You know, Tiffany had it. It's nice. It's nice. Do y'all believe in karma? Give me some hands if you believe in karma. So I like the idea of karma. I like to believe if you put good into the world, you get good. And I believe if you do people dirty, it comes back, right? This is the petty part of me. I have not fully evolved, but this is what I'm working with. And I'm also, I think also at the root of this, I'm not a confrontational type of person. And so any time in my life I've been mistreated, I haven't necessarily felt courageous enough or powerful enough, or that it was worth enough to retaliate. But my hope is that they get it. Anyway, this is a poem about that. I heard your money's getting funny. And you looking tired about the eyes, and your sleep don't come so easy. And your friendships have expired. Word is your business is no longer serious, and your charm has off and died. When you catch your own reflection, are you caught by surprise? I mean, you had to see this coming. Or maybe you thought you got off scot-free. Well, darling, when you violate my ancestors' children, there is usually a penalty. I forgave you, but they hold grudges. They ain't quite gracious as me. Plus God and great-great-grand are besties. All her descendants, VIP. Her prayers for her lineage is like armor in our genealogy. Any weapon formed against me will completely miss its mark, and by default, would-be assailants suffer consequence. Sweetheart, maybe curses can be lifted. I don't know much about those type of things. But it looks like you're in for an incredibly cold summer. You should have never messed with me. That's it. my petty poem. Y'all petty too. I could tell by the way you was clapping, y'all. I'm gonna pray for y'all. This last poem is a love poem. I'm a poet. I'm mostly a love poet. I write about the things I care about the most. And so I think one of the things, I think we're in an era where it's good if you are single, it's good. If you are partnered, it's good. But there's this thing that people are doing where we're behaving like we do not need each other, like we don't need each other. And I try to only speak for myself. So speaking for myself, I show up a little brighter when I am loved. And this poem is entitled Proper Love. I am the absolute best version of myself when I'm being loved properly. You should see me when I'm getting as many kisses on my neck as I want. I use fewer words when there's someone who understands my non-talk. I am regal as I don't know what when oil is being massaged into my scalp on the regular. Peep the shine I put on the floor when I'm made to be a priority. Have you ever tasted an omelet prepared by a woman who prayed you'd finally show up? Spend a weekend with me. Cover your ears, kids. Spend a weekend with me. Come Monday morning, you will be hating on your Saturday night self. Just tell me nobody could do what you can do anytime you get the inclination. My credit score climbed 200 points. Include me in your plans and I'll awaken every morning without the aid of alarm with the solution to somebody's problem. Say things to me like, yo, your car was making a funny noise, but don't worry about it. I took care of it. You don't even have to buy me nothing. Yes, you do. It's just a poem. Let's not get crazy. Just appreciate my style. Delight in the way I put myself together. Ask me again when I'm going to wear that dress with those shoes so you could show me off. I will strut everywhere while simultaneously reciting Einstein's theory of relativity in Mandarin. You can almost hear my IQ expanding from all that good loving. Baby, you holding back on your adoration of me, a little bit illegal, might even be detrimental to the planet. You wrong for that. Love me ferocious so I could be great. Mess around and find a Pulitzer hanging out my back pocket and love on my son. Treat him like maybe you the one who put him in my belly, assemble his bike while I nap on the couch, teach him some man stuff. I don't know. I promise I'll treat you like it's your birthday when you get back. Forgive me for needing so much partner. As extraordinary as I am now, there is greatness I can't reach. Just the match in the fire I could unleash. The world needs you to ignite me. Bring your whole self here right now and love me properly. Thank you.
Another. more. Now you see what I was talking about, right? You see what I was talking about. I like to prepare you first, so then you get the proof afterwards. And forgive. I'm doing this like humidity. I didn't expect it. I haven't left the house in a few days, so I'm new to the weather. Coming up to the stage next, I'm not a parent, but in this program, working with these students, when they lock in, I lock in. Like I don't want to be that that teacher or that whatever that's just like, oh, come here. So I wait for them to lock into the program, and when they do, it gives me permission to treat them like the kids that I'm not sure that I want. So. So the student that's coming up next, I'm incredibly honored to play this small role in their journey. William Leet. He is the winner of the Poetry Out Loud State Championship. He is representing the state of Connecticut in national finals. I think it's May 1st. And considering that his journey as a poet is very new, no, scrap that. For any length of time that that anyone could be doing anything, he is amazing. So now consider that he's new and be amazed, be in awe. William Leet, come to the stage.
As a poet, I describe myself as a little bit confused, young, naive, fits very much with my personality, trying to find who I am, and I think poetry just gives me a great way to find out what I have to say, and if I have anything to say at all. I think that poetry gives me a way to see what I'm actually thinking and expose myself to truths that I didn't really knew existed before. I don't think I could perform one poem for the rest of my life. I think even now I look back on poems I've written a year ago and I do cringe a little bit, but I think that's the whole thing. It's ever adapting, ever growing, so I don't think I'm ever gonna be finished. And I'm never gonna have a poem that I write at one point and then I'll agree with it 30 years later, but I think it's always good to have each poem that I've written to be able to go back to it and see where I was. But I don't think that I could stay in one mental state for my entire life, and I think that's how it comes out in my poetry, so yeah. I don't think I have a story yet about my relationship with poetry. That's what I'm saying. I think I'm young. I'm trying to find how poetry can fit into my life. I hope I have stories in the future. I hope that it helps me grow as a human being, but as of right now, I'm pretty new at this.
If you could collaborate with any poet in the world, who would it be and why? And what would the poem be?
Kanye West. Because he is, despite all the controversy, Kanye West to me is absolutely a genius. I think he's a huge inspiration to me. I've listened to him for not super long, but in the last few years, he's just been a great inspiration to me. He impresses me every single time I listen. Sincerity. The first poem I ever wrote was called The Great Pretender, and was my testament to the opposite of authenticity. For me, I am forever trying to be sincere, to be real, to not just spew out words as I speak. And poetry is a way to expose to myself what I actually think is real and what I know will not last and what doesn't matter and what things I shouldn't really be thinking about, what's foolish. And yet, when I write, I immediately know what I'm writing about and how it relates to my life of not writing about myself. So I think that in order to truly be sincere with my work, it forces me to figure out a lot about myself. It forces me to uncover. And I think that as I continue on my, I guess you could say, journey through my literary cavern, I hope to find what is real to me and what matters and what's important. First time doing this, so all right. So let me start with a story. Sorry if it's boring or if you've heard this one before me. As it goes, water flows to 3 stories, and a man stands stranded. He's scared, and granted, he wasn't handed a plan. I mean, this guy, he's so aloof. He's stuck on his roof and looks to the skies. It spells doomsday. The doors he's forced shut as he ascends the floors before he's drowned by the flood or he's saved by a miracle. He's never prepared for trouble. He thinks he'll be given some sort of exit route, some sort of way out, and sure enough, a boat comes about and the captain shouts to the man in distress,
and asks, "Do you need help, sir?" But all the man replies is, "No, God will save me." God looks at him funny, but he just shrugs and rows away. If religion were a thing that money could buy, the rich would live and the poor would die. 15 years ago, my mother got a call from a doctor. It shocked her, knocked her off her feet. She received a diagnosis. Her disease was fast, ferocious, but instead of getting medicine, she hedged her bet on heaven, sought to talk it out with God, and maybe, just maybe, strike a deal. And so 15 years ago, my mother told my father about the offer not to rot in poverty. She chose gold. She said, "I want to walk that golden street." Her head was angled weak. She sat in her seat, and I watched her inner deceit seep down through her feet as she smiled in discontent. She said, "Hush, little baby, don't you cry. You know your mama was born to fly." Born to fly, mother, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds die. Birds die over the rainbow. So why, then oh, why can't you see the bleeding of the bluebirds on the brick? Their blood seeping through the cracks. Your wax will turn to liquid as soon as you fly. I can't just watch you jump from that tower and watch you fall from the side. But like the story of Icarus, one day my mother took her leap of faith. And my father, Daedalus, collapsed in horror as he saw her move farther from view. The screams of Daedalus were dead, endlessly unlistened, as if they were never said, so she descended faster, 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 but 5 feet from the bottom, she hovered. 5 feet from the bottom, recovered, suspended from truth, her fall ended. If you remember, she chose gold. Sold on the idea of riches, and behold, the witches of old came to her rescue, holding her crippled body in the arms of angels. And I watched her smile, while oblivious of the gravity to come. I watched her stare directly into the sun and say, "I'm not afraid of you." To this day, my mother hovers still, and she is yet to fall. She sprinkled her riches across the wall. No, my brother, that's no lowercase t at all. I seem to remember this one time a few years ago. Right, because back then, you have to understand, she was standing. I swear she could. She stood from her seat, still dripping in delusion. Her eyes were focused on the prize not to lose, and so her grip loosened. She looked back at her seat, down to her feet and up towards the skies, never facing the fate 5 feet in front of her. And I watched her smile in nervous optimism as she took one breath and then another, hoping this time would be different from the others. She pioneered her spirit forward, growing a smile, only 5 feet to go, but she never got past denial. And as I watched her fall to the ground, limb by limb, pound by pound, her kind eyes were pointed straight at the skies, and she cried. But not in loathing, for in her mind she was still floating. And through the deafening silence, I heard a whisper, a truth that reverberated throughout that tower, overpowering the miles of holiness and the fields of clover. She said, "All my trials soon be over. Oh, Mother. I know you can't hear in your eerie lament, but that's not what Peter, Paul, and Mary meant. No holy hand reached down. No angels were sent. I went down into your dark cave of repent and found glitter, riches, gold. I give you my hand to hold, but you push it away. I forgive you, Mother, but I would rather die than pray. So I know your Savior won't save you, so save yourself. Your guide, he blindfolded your eyes. He made sure the ropes were tied. I watched you dive from that tower, praying you wouldn't die. And every night since, she's been level, standing in the skies, never understanding it's the devil in disguise. For there is a tree in paradise. The Christians call it the tree of life, but it is too late, my mother. Too late.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? I just, one more time for... Not only did he win first place in the recitation competition, he won second place in the creative writing competition. So, yeah. Coming up next, it's another one of those moments, those proud parent moments, as another one of those proud parent moments where you just, nothing I can say can actually just, no words fit. To see the journey, to see, the growth, to see it all in real time, it's just, it makes me proud. It makes me, if this was a different kind of moment, I would cry. Coming up to the stage now, it is our third place recitation competition winner. It is our first place creative writing winner, and it is our inaugural youth poet laureate for Connecticut. Give it up for Jada Taveras.
As a poet, I would describe myself as a storyteller. I use the world around me in my poetry a lot as a way to understand who I am as a person and what that means in the global scheme of things. When I write when I don't understand something or understand how I'm feeling. So in a way, my writing comes as a place of insecurity. So I think poetry saves my life day in and day out. Every time I don't understand something or don't feel good in a way, that's when I'll use poetry as an outlet. If I could perform one poem for the rest of my life, it would be 650,000. I love that poem the most because I feel like it just reminds us of how grateful we should be for the places we are in our lives. I have a love-hate relationship with poetry. I'm often writing poems at 3 a.m. in the morning or in the middle of class when I'm supposed to be doing something else. So it's kind of like I love to do it and I love writing, but it also comes at the worst times. If I could collaborate with any poet, I would collaborate with Jamal Hill. He has this amazing poem titled, I Believe, White Heaven, and where he asks, is heaven only meant for white people, and if we are black, do we hang our skin as a coat? And I think it's an ingenious poem, and if I could ever write a poem with him, I think I would title it Black Reality, of just what it means to be a black person walking in America on the day-to-day. Oh, it's so great. I can't see you guys. You don't understand the relief. Elizabeth Kolber-Ross created the 5 stages of grief, summarizing what various emotional states people go through after losing someone they loved. This is how Black America copes with the loss of their ancestors. Stage 1, denial. Vessament is a French word defining the restlessness that comes with being away from your country of origin and feeling like a foreigner. My DNA test says I'm from West Africa, a region made up of 17 countries, each individual from the other. So when people ask me where I'm from, I tell them the unknown. I pretend the unknown is a place where skies are always blue, children's laughter never falters, and possibilities are endless. They say there is grace in this denial stage, that it's nature's way of telling us there is only so much we can handle, but how does one find grace when their existence is alien? Stage 2, anger. To the ones who manned the slave ships and played Monopoly with African bodies, I think, in every life you live, you eat our dead men for breakfast. I think you season it with blood from our kids, use our women's rib cages as knives and our daughters' eyes as delicacies. Taxidermy is the art of preparing, stuffing, and mounting skins with lifelike effect. I guess this is why so many American museums are filled with black skeletons. If I could go back in time, I would boil my blood and marinate your body in it. I would leave you so vultures could feed off your carcass. I hope they pick out your eyes. I hope they nibble at the fat around your fingers, gnaw at your intestines, and peck at your knees until Satan himself wonders what you did to deserve such a thing. Scientists say that the Middle Passage changed the migration of sharks. So many slaves jumped the boat that the sharks knew there would always be fresh food. The blue mind theory states that being near water calms the human mind. I can't help but disagree. Water has always tempted me. I'm always enticed to go deeper and deeper. I think it's my soul searching for the ones that are left at the bottom of the ocean. Stage 3, bargaining. Many Africans practice ancestral worship and believe that their predecessors influenced their own lives. No scar on my body has ever healed. I have slashes across my back, burns all over my finger, and bruises on my arms and legs. There is this reincarnation theory that states the scars you bear are how you died in a past life. This has to be my ancestors' way of reminding me that my people have been enslaved longer than they have ever been free. Phantom limb pain is pain that is felt in an area where a limb was once amputated. When I get nervous, my kneecaps quake. My hands shake. Oftentimes, my breath gets caught somewhere between my throat and lungs. My ancestors in me often forget that I am a free woman. They have instilled fear in me as a survival instinct. It's a signal to run before my words get me caught 6 feet under. I once found myself with my knees on the floor, hands clasped and head reaching to the sky, offering whatever was up there to fix me to a cross. Nail my hands and feet to wood while I proclaim that I will gladly be a sacrifice if it meant that melanated souls could have better futures. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I promised myself a long time ago I would never die in vain. So I never offered myself again, not after they took Trayvon. They say bargaining and guilt go hand in hand. If I stopped bargaining a long time ago, why is every step I take filled with guilt and sorrow? Stage 4, depression. Scientifically, if you start smiling, your brain releases tiny molecules called neurondephretides. They help fight off stress. It is said that smiling, even when you are sad, will make you feel happier. This discovery must have been made by a white man. Most days, the pain of my ancestors' reality settles in my soul, causing me to panic. I wake up at random hours of the night, clawing at my skin, wishing I could hang it as a coat, but I'm always scared it will hang on a tree instead. So I let my scratch marks tell their stories, the ones of endless suffering. Stage 5, acceptance. For Christmas, my parents bought me a telescope. I would spend hours staring at the North Star, wondering how such a thing could guide thousands. The homeland of your ancestors is supposed to bring you home after you die. When I perish, I want my ashes to... Let's try that again. When I perish, I want my ashes to kiss the ocean floor and be tucked in by the North Star. It's the only thing that has ever guided my people. Okay, I have one more poem. Definitely got to get better at ending things. Okay, last one. This morning, I awoke to birds chirping. the sun rising and flowers blooming. First thing I did was groan, not wanting to work another day, not wanting to be bounded to society. But I got up and I washed my face with the wash that will pollute the ocean with microplastics. I got dressed in clothes made in sweatshops with nimble fingers and tired souls. I drank clean water, knowing that 1/3 of people across the globe will never know such commodity. I ate breakfast aware of the fact that 9 million people die from hunger each year. I left my house and was conscious of the fact that over 1 billion people live in, quote, inadequate shelter. And suddenly, I thank the birds for blessing me. I thank the sun for rising, and I promise God to never take another day for granted.
You that much taller than me? Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that, get my knees done or something. That was our final performance for the night. I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to call up all of the performers on stage again at once, all at once. Come on, come on, come on. Really. Also, is Katrina here? Hi, Katrina. Yes, you can come too. Katrina, she was one of our winners, and I want to present her award tonight. But I want all of our performers to get back up on stage, and I want you all to soak it up and take a bow and show them love. And I'll be right back.
Oh my God, please. Oh, thank you. I mean, this is beautiful. How do you feel?
I had to do this, so yeah. Katrina was our second place winner. She would have substituted for Billy at national finals if it were in person and if he needed a runner-up. But it's virtual, so there's kind of no way to miss it. So I wanted to have Katrina. I wanted to have Katrina here so we could present her award. She did a phenomenal job in the competition, and yeah, she deserves to be recognized. So. Somebody behind me is clapping mad loud. I appreciate it though. I love it. I knew it was Teresa, of course. That's all, folks. Thank you.